Hello everyone, I'm now back in Romania. So I've come through Turkey, into Bulgaria, into Romania, across into Moldova, and then back into Romania, and I'm now heading towards Bucharest. I've been pinned to the side of the road for the last 4 hours, this narrow road with speeding traffic, and it's been bordering on the ridiculous how close that they want to come to cyclists. I always find it fascinating. Never mind, but it did get me thinking of all the border crossings, and I remembered something I wrote in 2014 when I was cycling from Aberdeen down to Sierra Leone, in Scotland down to Sierra Leone. So this is my interpretation of border crossings. They're all the same in my opinion. So whilst I collect my thoughts about the countries I've cycled through these last 7 weeks, I'll read you this. Bordering on the ridiculous. Fruit sellers, fraudsters, money exchangers, opportunists, rogues and rascals are the usual assortment of fractious folk who mercilessly hound and harass you through the narrow and inescapable channel that represents a border crossing. Add grumpy guards, inefficient systems, often with triplicate or even quadruple check-in, and a good ration of rudeness, then even an experienced traveller can be stretched to the limit, as people surround you closer than cling film. However, the crossing from Western Sahara to Mauritania presented a different challenge. 2 miles of no man's land, but apparently every man's tip. Trucks, tyres, televisions, trash of all types including plastic bottles, soft drink cans, and rotten food lay strewn all over the sand. The only thing missing was tarmac. So pushing and pulling the bike, I huffed and puffed my way in the searing midday sun, watching as vehicles cautiously picked their route with varying degrees of success over the rocks, rubble and rubbish. I felt a tinge of sadness leaving Western Sahara, as it had been a magnificent experience to cycle through such a vast and uncompromising but truly beautiful landscape. After my public declaration of love, I now realised it had only been toying with me in preparation for what lay ahead, the desert wanting to test the extent of my commitment. Mauritania presented much of the same in the respect that the sand stretched out for another 450 miles. However, instead of the sweeping golden dunes of the Sahara, the terrain became more rugged, the sand seeming to lose a little of its sheen, which is hardly surprising as the temperature reached a frying 54.4 degrees Celsius. My previous highest had been 10 days, 48 degrees while cycling to Kolkata. I had started to use my 4-litre black water bladder, which supplemented my standard 7 litres, but I was now guzzling about 12 litres of water a day, which was spewing out of every possible pore, covering my cycling top in a crusty layer of salt. Fortunately, I had managed to procure numerous packets of electrolytes, rehydration salts, after somehow persuading a pharmacist to show me half the stock of his shop as I lamented my lack of language skills. I also popped a daily vitamin pill to cope with the added physical demands of pedalling through a furnace. I zipped up my top, pulled down my bandana and slapped sunscreen over my naked nose, lips and legs, finding humour in the fact that the temperature was now higher than the 50+ protection. When I was lucky enough to find shade, I had to climb into my silk sleeping bag liner to prevent the blowtorch wind from scorching my legs. Despite all this, I was in my element and relishing the challenge that such conditions provide. I wish I could say the same of my equipment. I burnt my lips sipping water from the now boiling black bladder, and I could not touch the naked part of my handlebars for fear of losing my fingertips. For some time, I had been thinking of discarding the bike computer. I'm often guilty of mile munching and wanted to be free of the self-imposed straitjacket of covering a certain distance each day. Nature helped me out by melting it. It has not been replaced. The lens of my camera would only show face after 2 hefty wax, which presumably dislodged the lurking grains of sand. My mobile phone gave up the ghost, with the screen now as faint as one. To complete the cycle, my miniature MP3 player decided it had endured enough torture from my soaking wet torso and downed tools too. You could say the honeymoon period of the Mirage had passed, and it was now down to the simple nuts and bolts of biking, just how I like it. So I'd better get back on the bike and make the most of this tailwind, and I think I have a couple hours left of light. So look after yourselves, much love, and bye-bye.